Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And I guess the Calgary Flames regular season is going to end a week later than originally scheduled, as you recall, especially recently, where the Vancouver Canucks, well, they got hit really hard with COVID, where basically their whole team got sent into sick bay, which ultimately affected the Calgary Flames because 3 games got postponed. And now, as things are getting a little better, when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks, as you know, they're now open to practice again and start returning to play on Friday, April the 16th. That required the NHL to have to reschedule a bunch of games. And in this video, I'll just touch upon that the Calgary Flames have 5 games that have been rescheduled. As a result of this, as the NHL is still committed to have everyone play 56 games in the regular season. Unfortunately now with the Vancouver Canucks, I think they're slated to now play their final 19 games in 31 days. But this is what the schedule now looks like for the Calgary Flames, as a lot of games have now been rescheduled. So update your calendars. Well, if you recall, on Saturday, April the 10th, the Calgary Flames were scheduled to play the Vancouver Canucks at home, but ultimately what happened is that the NHL decided to reschedule that final game that the Calgary Flames have with the Edmonton Oilers at home. So ultimately the Calgary Flames played the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday, April the 10th. So that game got rescheduled so that there's a game in between. But now, when it comes to all the games that are rescheduled as a result of the COVID protocol that the Vancouver Canucks were hit with, well, the game that originally was scheduled on March 31st, where the Calgary Flames would have been in Vancouver, the Calgary Flames will make up that game on April 21st, and that'll be an 8 p.m. puck drop, so that's when that game will be made up. And then that April 10th game versus Vancouver, that ultimately the Flames were playing the Edmonton Oilers. Well, that game now is going to be made up on May the 3rd with a 7 p.m. puck drop. So what I plan to do is, looking at the Calgary Flames in 6 game recaps, well, the last 2 episodes of the regular season will likely be it for Season 3. They're going to be 4 game recaps, but I'm going to sneak those games in those episodes. So ultimately, there'll be 6 game recaps, but I'm going to still call it my Calgary Flames 4 as per my schedule. So that's where I'll squeeze those games in as needed. And then on April 20th, the Calgary Flames were slated to play the Ottawa Senators. Well, that game now has been rescheduled to May the 9th for a 6 p.m. puck drop in Calgary as a result of all the games moving around. So this affected the Ottawa Senators as well. And then the last 2 games that the Calgary Flames were going to play, well, now they're going to at least be playing up until May 16th. As the game that was originally scheduled for May 8th, which would have been the last game of the regular season for the Calgary Flames and the NHL, which now the NHL said they were going to give themselves a buffer, a 2-week buffer to get games in so everyone can get 56 games in. Well, they made the 8th game, and I think that Saturday, May the 8th, that the Calgary Flames were to take on the Vancouver Canucks at home. That game is now going to be a week later on May the 15th, and it's TBD for puck drop. And then the final game for the Calgary Flames would be at home against the Vancouver Canucks. That game originally was scheduled on May the 8th, or April the 8th, I should say, is now scheduled for May the 16th. So the Calgary Flames will still have a back-to-back against the Vancouver Canucks now at the end of the season. Although looking at the standings and how the North All-Canadian Division is shaking down, I should say, I'm going to say it's going to likely be both teams playing out the string, because I think right now the top 4 teams in the North All-Canadian Division right now are likely going to be the 4 teams making the playoffs, but it's just a matter of everybody getting their 56 games in. I know the New Jersey Devils, the Buffalo Sabres, they've been having to play catch-up, as well as they had some time shut down, including the Dallas Stars at the start of the season in the snowstorm. And then the Montreal Canadiens, they're still busy playing catch-up as they got shut down, but the Vancouver Canucks definitely was the team hardest hit, as I think at one point they had 25 cases of COVID or players in COVID protocol. It'd be interesting to see how the Vancouver Canucks are going to fare as in terms of icing the roster and how are those players going to be. because there's players that, got sick with COVID months ago that are still not feeling right. But it's unfortunate what has happened, but those are the games that have been rescheduled. So 5 games have been rescheduled for the Calgary Flames, so we'll still get all 56 games in. So I guess I'll come back to recap update your calendars for the Calgary Flames, as the first game that has been rescheduled on March 31st against Vancouver in Vancouver. That game is now going to be on April 21st. That'll be an 8 p.m. puck drop. Then the originally scheduled game on April 10th, where the Calgary Flames would host the Vancouver Canucks in Calgary. That game is now rescheduled to May the 3rd with a 7 p.m. puck drop. And then the April 20th game against the Ottawa Senators that the Calgary Flames are going to host the Ottawa Senators in Calgary. That game is now moved to May the 9th with a 6 p.m. puck drop. And then the May 8th game, where the Calgary Flames will be actually at Vancouver. Correct. The Flames were to end the season in Vancouver. Well, that game is now going to be on May the 15th, a week later. And then on April 8th, where the Calgary Flames were originally scheduled to take on the Canucks in Calgary. That game will be on May the 16th. The May 15th and May 16th games are TBD. So Calgary will have a back-to-back home-and-home against the Vancouver Canucks now with these new games being rescheduled. But it's nice to know that at least some games will get all played eventually. All 56 games for everybody. There's other word that now that the NHL regular season will be pushed off another week, there's also word that playoffs might begin for the other divisions earlier than the North All Canadian division. Although, what would be interesting to know what would happen if, let's say, both Calgary and Vancouver more likely going to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I guess it would be awkward to have games still playing in the North All Canadian division or playoffs, and then everyone else still playing out the string. But I think that's what's likely going to happen, is that some divisions might actually will start their playoffs a little earlier, where the North All Canadian division will be late, but that remains to be seen. I might give an update on that later, or touch upon that in upcoming episodes with my Calgary Flames at 6. So at least we know when games will be made up, both for the Calgary Flames and the Vancouver Canucks. So anyways, I say, if you want to follow along this Calgary sports fan's journey, home the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, recapping games and stories, and now we know both story on when games will get made up and when I'll recap those games. So those games will get snuck in with my upcoming episodes with my Calgary Flames. I guess I'll call my Calgary Flames at 4 to make the math work for 56 games. But I also do a variety of non-sports content like personal vlogs, attempt comedy, and I also do share my experiences I'm on the road or a sporting event. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, do follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey. You know what you need to do, just make sure to subscribe. I also have my other social links down in the description below. And another thing that I'm thinking about possibly doing in the summer, especially with the off season with hockey and not knowing about CFL football, and the fact that I don't have any travel plans, I might actually try to do some more vlogging on the go. That's something I might touch upon. Where my plan is I might revisit parts of the city that I spent a lot of time in my youth. So that might be something to look forward to fill in the gaps in the summer with when hockey season slows down and not sure about football season. But I am more just, talk sports on my channel. I like to, experiment and do a variety of other content to try to catch a bigger audience. Do follow along this Calgary sports fan's journey, as I always like to say. So I'm going to say, go Flames go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.